Welcome to 330 to go. Don't change that dial. We're going to be live in just under 3 minutes. We've got a really fun show in store for you tonight. Folks, if you haven't done so, please make sure you enable 330 to go's Morning Minute on your Alexa app Flash Morning Briefings. We provide daily content to give you information on what's going on here and there in the 330, as well as giving you regular daily specials for where to shop and where to get discounts at local restaurants. If you haven't done so, make sure you check out our website, 330togo.com. You'll find all of our podcasts archived and all of our webcasts available on both YouTube and on Facebook. Please make sure you go to our page, 330 to go, hit that like button, make sure you follow us. We do offer regular specials and regular giveaways. We really love giving stuff away. If you haven't done so, please head over to our review page as well and let us know that you watch the show. Tell us what we do right and different areas where we might be able to improve. If you have an idea or a topic that you'd like us to cover, please make sure you get a hold of us and we'll be happy to try and work it into our schedule. If you'd ever like to be in our viewing audience, we do have seating available for just about every show we do. So once again, please make sure you get a hold of us and we'd be happy for you to be our guest. Folks, we're almost there. It's almost time. Make sure that you're adjusted with your volume, grab a drink, and away we go. Take care, folks, and enjoy the show. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Akron's hottest and fastest growing show, 330 to go. I'm your host, Hank Forrester, coming to you live from SYLC Consulting, located in downtown Akron. Applause. Today, we talk about some more serious topics with some lighthearted humor involved in it, of course, regarding healthy thoughts. But before we do that, let's have a big round of applause just to my left for Lindy.
How you doing, Hank?
I'm just living the dream.
Today's episode is brought to us by the Stray Dog Food Cart, making Akron more Acrony since 2009. Their carts have hit the streets, so look for them around town. You can also stop by their flagship location located underneath the main Akron Library, or you can head out to the Northside Marketplace as well. And I heard you tried the mustard when you were there.
Yeah, so we were camping and we had Charlie had given me a vat of various types of mustards that they sell.
Vat?
Yeah, like a whole bag of like a bunch of different mustards. And we tried the hot mustard and we tried. They got a honey maple mustard.
Ooh, that's
both of them were really good. We put them both on brats. And then Charlie and his team, his people, whatever the word you want to use, would be there. They've been all over Akron this past week. I've literally seen them everywhere because I've literally been everywhere, and I keep running into stray dog carts all over the place. So it's been great. All right, I'll shut up. Next. Okay.
All right, so Acme Fresh Market is still doing their 7 steaks of summer, but this is the final week. So they're going to always end with the best cut, which means it is the boneless ribeye Delmonico.
I love the
Simply
Delmonico.
purchase. Ooh.
The Delmonicos are marbled.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
Simply purchase that steak and you'll be entered to potentially win free groceries for a year. Kate's favorite cut is just $10.99 a pound. Hottest prices, deals, and fastest checkout. Shop Acme.
Yeah, so, and the thing about the Delmonico, they're marbled, right? So whenever you get a steak, the more fat that's in it, it gives it that marble texture, and so that when you cook it, it renders, right? So the fat renders in it, the way you sear it, and it's just, the Delmonico is just the best.
The best way to cook it is in a cast iron and then finish in the oven.
Yeah, well, we did that with those tomahawk steaks before, but that's a different. We're talking Delmonicos right now. So I think today's the last day. I'm pretty sure today is the last day for the 7
I would assume
steaks
so.
this summer. So, folks, today's also brought to us by Cycling Solutions. I shared one of their posts earlier on my timeline, and then one of our viewers commented about the information that we shared. So I'll say it politically, okay? Tom is located in the Copley area, and he does a wonderful job in regards to any kind of bike maintenance or rehab or construction or fittings that you need. So make sure you check out Cycling Solutions. They've been a sponsor of ours now for the majority of the year. They're well into bike season now, and if you want to take those bikes out and you want to make sure they're safe, or if you want to feel better on your bike, you physically ride your bike and you don't feel good afterward, reach out to Tom at Cycling Solutions and he can help you. All right. In addition, today's also brought to us by Nick's Landscaping. Nick's is located conveniently right on the border between Norton and Copley, and they've been taking care of yards for 20 years. No project is too big or small. They are well into their season now. So I'm guessing if you do try and get a hold of them, I'm not saying it's impossible, but they're going to have a tough time getting started with you right away. But right now they're also working on some of their bigger fall projects, getting those starting to get lined up. And it's not too early to reach out in regards to snow. Did I just say, what did I say? Snow plowing. It's not too early to line up your snow plowing for the winter. I know it's a 90-degree summer day, but if you think about it, usually they give discounts to the folks that get packages in advance. All right, so his number is the easiest to remember. It's right down here in front, 330-666-7000. It's the easiest phone number in Akron to remember, okay? In addition, one of our newer sponsors to join the team, Custom Spray, their professional residential and commercial lawn care group. Their lawn, tree, and shrub services include fertilization, disease control, and pest control. I am also a client. I feel like I just did a hair club for men commercial. By the way, they're not a sponsor. I'm also a client, and they just recently hit us with pest control because we have fleas and ticks issues with our dog. Their number is 330-861-5035, so reach out to them. Also, Mobile Screen of Ohio, their premier provider of workplace substance abuse testing. They also provide transport, and it's important to understand that they're good to have in your Rolodex. What's that, kids? It's a rolling card grouping of names and phone numbers that you would go through in order to find somebody, right?
You mean your address book and your cell phone?
Yes. So point being, it's a term, it's a figure of speech. So they're a good contact to have, all right? Because they can also transport any kind of minor issues. They can also deal with, cuts, scrapes, bruises, any kind of accident scene. You send them there, they can assess it, decide if a drug test is needed for safety purposes, and go from there. So Mobile Screen of Ohio, they're one of our sponsors as well. And then last one's for Lindy.
And super excited that Sheena's Platinum Movements is returning as a sponsor after their summer break. Miss Sheena made this awesome shirt. And she's having an open house on August 3rd for parents that are interested in checking out the studio. It's going to be from 4 to 7 next Saturday. And they're now accepting new students for the upcoming season. We are so excited that they are returning for a sponsorship group.
I am too. And I checked. I'm pretty sure I do not have a wedding this weekend, which means, I may be providing music for that open house.
Do it.
So I'll do it. Just do it. Do it. Fine.
Do it.
Just do it.
Got it. All right.
Just do it.
Why is that not stop? There we go. Okay. All right. So those are all our sponsors. We just paid the bills. So now, folks, we're just finishing up the whirlwind of coverage of West Akron. West Akron just had their Super Bowl week, basically. So we did the week started. If you were with me, special shout out once again to the folks from West Branch who were so accommodating, John and Glory, and just showing me around. And the video's already got like 3,500 views, and it was just really cool to see what goes on behind the scenes of a state park. Then I got a couple days worth of some behind the scenes up in the grill of players Browns training camp footage. So if you join me for that, that's the sports side of me. I put most of that up on Twitter though. And then the last few days, obviously we've had Taste of Akron ×2. And then right now the Akron Art Expo is just wrapping up here in about a half an hour. So it's been we love to showcase West Akron this time of year. It's always like our Super Bowl week, okay? But today we're here at SYLC. I'll call it SYLC. I won't. We're at SYLC Consulting in downtown Akron, and we're here to meet the leadership team. I talk too much, so most of the rest of the interview will be by Lindy, with me giving a couple examples of my issues, okay? Not that I have any, right? But all right. Let's have a big round of applause for Kat and Brenda. Your mic should. Whoa. All right, there we go. Your mic should be on. Say something.
Something.
Oh, it worked. It worked. And they got the giggles. So, ladies, thank you so much for. So this was. All right. So we're growing. They're growing, and I like to use the term Akron kids doing Akron things, right? And that's what we are. And so I love what you guys are doing. And you reached out to me initially, okay? Because you thought, those 3-0 to go folks are really cool. And we appreciate that. And I love the fact that we get a chance to share your story now. So thank you.
Thank
you.
All right. So I'm going to shut up and let her run the interview. But I always start with question number 1, and it is tell us your Akron story.
You gonna go? Okay. So our Akron story. I'm not actually from Akron originally. I know.
Gasp.
I know.
Hold on. There's drama already.
But this is home. I've been here for 17 years now, and actually live right up the street from you. But so this is home. But when Brenda and I came together to form SYLC Consulting, we were looking specifically in downtown Akron because we like the vibe. 2 weeks after we moved in, they started the construction, but we know that it's going to be, it's for the betterment of, everything down here. So really that's why we moved down.
Don't get me started.
Don't get started.
I'll let that one go right on by.
It's going to be great. It's going
to be great.
Yeah. We're excited about it. So that's really, this is home, and this has always been home for Brenda.
This has always been my home. Born and raised in Akron, back when Resnick was Fairline Elementary, I went there. And then when Garfield was actually still high school, I went there. So I was born and raised in Akron. So I was really excited when Kat usually teaches me things about Akron, because, you kind of take it for granted when you live here all your life. And she's like, did you know? I'm like, no, I had no clue. So she's been great helping me with that.
Now there's a rule. It's not my rule, but you don't ask women their age, right? Okay. But if you went to Garfield, I can already guess a little bit there. And I'm asking, did you by chance go to school with any professional football players or any of the Ohio State running backs?
He's actually a couple of years ahead of me.
Okay.
A couple of years ahead of me.
All right.
So.
Okay. So the answer is yes. All right. But I don't want to give away any numbers.
Right,
all right.
right,
okay.
right.
All right. I'll shut up.
We're here.
Okay.
So tell us where you got the idea for this business that you guys are running.
So it really started, SYLC stands for Steer Your Life Coaching.
Okay.
Steer is a model, a coaching model. It's actually a self-coaching model that I like to refer to, that I received as a divine download.
Okay.
I'd gone through a really rough time. I was kind of coming out of that rough time. I call that it was kind of a functional depression during that time. And I had started my own business doing career coaching. I call myself a recovering HR manager. And so coming out of I was downsized 3 times in 3 years, like just all kinds of stuff, went through a divorce. So all these things were going on. When I started my own business doing career coaching, I knew I wanted to go into life coaching. So I started doing the life coaching, but as they were teaching us this program, it was very much one that would make people dependent on me. And that wasn't something that I wanted. So I I don't know, I get these divine downloads where I see things in words and letters. And one of the things I saw, I was doing a lot of studying about how you can, change your thoughts and change the way you think. It changes the way you feel. And it's really based on cognitive behavioral therapy, which is just understanding your thoughts and emotions.
Okay.
And everything is an acronym, and it has been my whole life. So that acronym STEER stands for situation, thought, execution, emotion, and result. So we have people go through those, and that's part of the coaching model that we teach people. So SYLC really was born of us coming together. So Brenda was a client of mine,
Right.
one of the very first, and she really embraced the STEER model. She really was the one who kind of implemented it into her own life, and I'll let you tell that part of it. But we came back, and we actually, I don't know, maybe about 2 or 3 months ago, we were like, did we actually have a formal discussion of how we were going to start our business together, or did it just happen? And it kind of just happened. But everything, we believe we're on the path that we're supposed to be, and we're teaching it to people in companies. I'm able to use my HR background to get into organizations to teach it to them, and Brenda's using it in some other ways as well. So, and we're certifying other coaches in it. We can talk about that a little bit, but talk a little bit about how STEER.
She's really humble when she talks about STEER. This was like a creation. She created this and goes, this is how you come out of what you're going through. And I was at a point where I was enduring some of the same experiences that she was having. And I'm like, how do I get out of this? And she's like, well, can I test drive this on you? And I was like, sure, let's see. I mean, it can't get any worse at this point. So she taught me STEER, and it literally changed my life when I started to learn the different types of ways that I could think about things and how emotional I was being. And she kind of called me out of the blue one day and said, listen, so other people have been learning STEER, and I have 2 people in 2 different places who don't know each other who are asking if I can certify them to become SYLC certified or STEER certified at that point. Right. And she said, can you pray for me? And I'm like, sure, I'll pray for you. But if you decide to make it a certification program, I want to be certified too. So that's how the certification program came about. And when she certified me, I went on to use it in my own business with my own clients. And again, with SYLC, we don't know how it happened. It was the recovering HR manager in her that must not be quite recovered, because she was like, I think HR managers could really use STEER. And I was like, it would be great for companies. Okay. And that's how SYLC was born in a nutshell.
So it's interesting because when you think about health, a lot of people focus on the physical aspect. Mm-hmm. The primary thing that people focus on is what I call heart health. Mm-hmm. So it's running and staying fit, it's eating healthy, it's doing all these things, right? And it's keeping your cholesterol down and yada, 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 okay? But the one thing that we had talked about was brain health. Mm-hmm. And when you think of the importance of the organs in the body, mm-hmm. the 2 most important are the heart and the brain. The question is, how would you rank them? And it's interesting because the heart depends on the brain, mm-hmm. and the brain depends on the heart. Mm-hmm. So it's like you've got this tandem of things. And when people put the vast majority of emphasis on just the 50%, they have a tendency to overlook the other 50. Or it's the Sally Field from Steel Magnolias, I'm fine. Right. Okay? I'm fine. All right? I'm gonna give you 2 examples about me. And I told you this before the show that I would do this. So my big thing is money. My big thing is I'm a dad, so I want to provide for my family. I want to make money. And no matter what I do, there's never enough money. I work, never enough money. And I was talking to a friend during camping, actually. And he said, it doesn't matter what bracket you're in, you don't make enough money. Because if you're living this lifestyle and you want to get that next thing or do that next thing or provide that thing, mm-hmm. you don't have enough money for it, so you feel like you don't have enough money. And if you're in this tax bracket, you can't do this. You feel like you don't have money. So he's like, if you're never, no matter what you're doing, you're never gonna have enough money. So why do you let it consume you? Why do you let that thought process just deteriorate you with anxiety mm-hmm. all the time? Because you're focused on, I don't have enough money to do this and get this for my kid and new shoes and do this. And that's the one thing I wanted to share with you guys. The second thing is something my wife calls it beaming. All right. So you remember the movie Any Given Sunday? Okay.
I do.
Yeah. So the coach was Pacino and then Jamie Foxx is Willie Beeman. He's the quarterback. Every time before he goes to start a football game, he throws up all over the field. Okay. So when I go to DJ a wedding, yesterday was my 994th wedding.
Wow.
And even with hers, every wedding that I go to do, I DJ her wedding. Every wedding that I go to do, she had fun. Every wedding I go to do, the day of leading up to it, I am a disaster. I am a nervous wreck because I'm worried about getting there. I'm worried about saying the names right. I'm worried about making sure that I don't mess up the day for that bride. So yesterday, we're on our way to Norwalk, okay? And lo and behold, there's this massive thing. It's not a combine. I think it's called a spreader, all right? It's this huge piece of farm equipment. I'm late. We're a little bit late, and there they are on Route 250 going 18 miles an hour, chug-a-lug-a-lugging in their John Deere tractor, okay? So I'm like freaking out because I go to pass, because I'm in a trailer, in a truck and trailer, and I go to pass, and my wheel hits, you know how they got the thing on the side of the road, my kids call them road farts, it goes, all right? I talk too much. The truck hits that, it makes a sound, and I look down, and it had activated my anti-slip thing in my F-150. So now there's that little light with those two little things. The wavy, slippery things. So usually you only see that in a rainstorm because it turns the vehicle stuff on.
Okay.
We're 20 minutes from the wedding. Okay. So now I am in absolute panic. Oh my God, are we gonna get there mode? Like my anxiety, my stress level, everything just went bonkers because there's this light that's staring at me now. And I'm thinking, if my truck breaks down and I can't make it to this wedding, I will have missed the first wedding of my career. So those are two examples that I wanted to give you guys of stuff that in my daily life I experience like paralyzing anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I would love to learn how to control that.
Yeah, it's a thought process. And one of the things when Steer came to me, it was about changing my mindset. But the first step in changing your mindset is knowing what you're thinking. So we actually created a program called What the Heck Are You Thinking Challenge, where we have people start to understand, because we have over 80,000 thoughts a day, or up to 80,000 thoughts a day. Yet most of us have no idea what we're thinking. A lot of it's happening back here. A lot of it is subconscious. These are things that have been ingrained in us for generations. So some of it, as we start to uncover and peel back the layers of what the heck we're thinking, that's when we can start to go, okay, I don't have to believe everything I think. Mm-hmm. So you're probably, the story that you're telling yourself may be, I'm going to be late, or I'm not going to have enough money. So with Steer, we look at that and say, what are some other thoughts that you can have, that you can believe? Because you can't just automatically change the thought. Well, you could change the thought, but if you don't believe it, then you're going to be in a struggle with yourself. Some of it too is we also came up with another acronym called IDLE, and that's dialectical behavioral therapy, where it's just a radical acceptance of how you're feeling. So when you talk about the feelings that you're having around the anxiety of getting to the wedding, I don't know if you're thinking about how I am before we do a workshop. I'm like, that's me. Beaming? Yeah, yes, that's me.
But you're not throw uppy.
No, but I am like, we got to get there. We got to do this. We've got to get that. And I want everything to be perfect. And she actually said to me recently, did you hear what you just said? And I'm like, yes, I did. And I do. And we're just going to leave it at that. But to me, it's accepting that that's how I am before something, and embracing that and making it part of the process. Now, if you want to change it, that's different. But kind of knowing that you're not going to feel anxious forever. Like we do a lot in meditation, and we talk about, any feeling that you have is like a storm. Like whatever, if you had somebody cut you off in traffic yesterday, you're not still mad about it today, unless you think about it again. but those feelings come and go. So we help kind of train people, we can't do it in this amount of time here, but it is to help with anxiety and stress and really creating a different thought pattern. But it's also about understanding what you're thinking and knowing what the story is you're telling yourself during that time.
And in those moments of anxiety, it's also with you figuring out what you can do. Like if you want to embrace that feeling, Kat now embraces that feeling of being anxious because she knows, okay, I'm going to use this as something positive. So since I'm going to be anxious anyway, I might as well use it instead as excitement. And now I'm going to turn it, and she'll be tweaking workshops on our way to the place. She's like, I just thought of something. And that's all her anxiety that she's flipped around, and she's now deciding to use it in a different way. So that's something to consider as well.
And it's really, you had asked us about like positive thinking, and we don't want, it's unrealistic to be positive all the time. We have things that happen to us, and this is about realistic thinking and finding, because again, we don't have to believe everything that we're thinking. We start to think these awful things either about ourselves or what could happen in the future. There's a quote that says, basically worry is just a waste of imagination. You're just imagining the bad thing that's going to happen. So if you use that imagination for a positive thing, then it's helpful.
I've been told it's like a rocking chair. There's a lot of movement, but you don't go anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Is there a difference between men and women?
No, I don't think so.
We thought that there were until some recent workshops that we did, and we are expecting like the reactions from the women and the questions, and then there would kind of be a man, and he'd be sitting there looking around, and then he'd go, well, what if, and we found out they were really engaged and still having some of the same issues. And in the workshop, we're actually excited to find out that everyone who was there was having the same issues that they were having. So it actually created a safe space, I think, for them. And they were actually sharing a lot more. So it doesn't seem to be a difference.
Okay. All right. I think we did.
Kind of talked about the focus, I feel like.
I think we're up to this one right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell us the kind of training that you have. You're talking about being able to get people certified to do the same thing that you women are doing. So tell us a little bit about what that training looks like and what that would entail.
So the certification program, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
So it's a 6-month program where the first 4 months they're doing, it's an online program, but we're doing it in Zoom. So we actually see each other. And that's more
Classwork.
Yeah, more classroom, if you will.
Okay.
And then there's a month of coaching each other.
Okay.
And then the last 2 months they go out on their own and they coach. We set them free, and they coach people to be able to work with them through steer, because steer is something that you really have to kind of build up to unless someone is really in touch with what they're thinking and feeling all the time, and most of us aren't. Most of us are somewhat oblivious to it, and not it's to no fault of our own. It's just how we're wired. So that's the certification program. We have one coming up in September, and then we're going to do another one in January.
Okay. And then tell us about the staff that you have, and do they specialize? Is there anything specialty that they focus on, or is it pretty much just the steer program in and of itself?
Well, it's just us two, and I know that Kat uses steer mostly in career coaching and things like that. I specialize in overcoming, so I actually work with women to overcome the past, so I use it in my coaching business for that purpose. And I also have a church emotional assistance program where I incorporate biblical principles, so that it's kind of like we always talk about, and we have a workshop that we're putting together. We're all saying the same things. It's just creating an environment where Christians feel comfortable knowing that this is science, but it's still not refuting anything that's being said by the Word of God as well. So we do that too.
And we do have a couple of certified coaches that use it in different ways. We have one that it has one of the network marketing. She uses that in her business, and then another one that uses it in her business, where she works with women who are kind of overcoming a little bit different.
It's kind of like a trauma. Hers is more kind of trauma coaching.
So we really, when we did the certification program, the pilot program that Brenda was a part of, and these other two were a part of, we came up with the idea that everyone has their own flavor, because I wasn't sure. That's why I'd asked Brenda to pray about it, because I wanted to make sure to have the integrity of the brand that I was creating, but also let people do it in their own way. And I wasn't quite sure how that was going to look. But as we moved through, we said it was kind of like Sloppy Joe's. There's a whole story that goes. I won't go too much into it, but
Oh, please do.
That's
That's what this.
Okay.
Like,
Remember,
how we
I
get
told
the
you.
sloppy joes
Yeah.
That's
in
what this
here?
is for.
Okay, so I grew up in a little town in Indiana, and we had an independently owned Dairy Queen, and they had the best sloppy joes ever. They were a little sweet, a little tangy. I probably would prefer some spice in it now too, but anyway. So, but they remodeled, or they built a new building and became a Dairy Queen Brazier. And when they did, they were no longer allowed to serve the sloppy joes, and the whole town was so upset about not having the sloppy joes. And every once in a while, you go to a potluck and somebody would, go crazy over these sloppy joes. And what was awesome too was that Deanna, one of the coaches, she's from Costa Rica, and when she was talking about it, she said, I like floppy joes. Awesome.
It was
my
really
we
goodness.
did like, I'm like, don't correct her. Let's let her call me
That's
floppy
amazing.
joes.
Yeah, we
Awesome.
loved it. It was
But
awesome.
anyway, so we talked about how everyone had their own ingredients. The main ingredients were there, but
Okay.
they could have their own flavor to it.
Okay.
And the way, I always look for signs, and I pray for signs to come to me, and I wasn't quite sure what we were going to do, how that was going to look, and they knew. It was very transparent with them that I don't know what this, how this is going to roll out. But I had gone out to dinner with a couple of people, and I thought that it was going to go one way, and it ended up going completely, I don't want to say sideways, but it just wasn't what I expected it to be. And I thought this person was maybe going to invest in the business and all this, I had these delusions of what it was going to look like. And I looked behind him, and we were at Melt in Cleveland. I mean, you know how they've got all the signs
Mhm.
everywhere? Well, one of the signs behind this guy's head was the Dairy Queen sign. And I was like, can you hold still for a second? I think I'm taking a picture of you, but I'm not. I'm taking it. And so I took a picture and I sent it back to them, and I'm like, I've got my sign. We all need to have our own flavor of it. So, there are people who are a little more corporate. There's someone who's going to take the next certification that she's much more corporate. There's someone who works in Missouri at a women's trauma center. So there's all kinds of different ways that people are using this.
It's funny you said that because I'm a hairdresser, and when we go through cosmetology school, we all learn the basics.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really teach you enough to get out and start working. That's one of the things I find wrong with the industry. But when you get out into the industry and you start looking at these different things, you have all the basics. Everybody has the same basics, but give two people the same haircut or two people the same picture of a hair color and ask them to execute it. And we've always said it doesn't matter how you get the end result.
Mm-hmm.
That as long as you I'm trying to think exactly what it was, but basically like it doesn't matter how you get there, the end result can be the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really important because everyone thinks differently and everyone does things differently.
Right.
And if you say you have to do it XYZ, and I worked at a place that says you have to cut this way, you have to color this way, and guess what, I'm not there because I don't work that way.
Right.
I think I'm just too creative and my right brain works way more. And so I think that's really important, allowing people to really embrace how they want to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
We need you to follow these principles. We need you to follow these things, but how you execute that, whichever works best for the people you're working with, that's most important. So tell us a little bit about like some success stories that you've had and maybe some struggles that you've kind of had with that as well.
You want to start?
Well, let's see, some success stories with Steer. My favorite one is always the one where we came up with Idol.
Oh yeah.
So that was actually one of the things that we do is like a group setting where we do kind of a mastermind type thing. And Brenda had one, and I know she's okay with me telling it because I've told her a million
I'm fine
times.
with it.
Or
Right.
do you want to tell it?
I can tell it.
You tell
Do I
it.
need sound effects for this or no?
No, well,
Maybe.
you might.
Okay.
But no, I was having some serious medical issues. So I'm kind of going back and forth to the doctor, and I'm anxious. I had moved away from Akron for a while. So I was in a place where I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any family, and it was just myself and my kids. So I'm like, what am I going to do if I croak? There's nobody here to like help my kids out. I don't have anything. And I'm telling Kat all about it. And I'm like, I just don't want to wallow in it. And she's like, wait. If you take the W away from wallow, then what do you have? And I'm like, aloe? I don't.
Wow.
And she was like,
You're
no,
keeping
it's
the
aloe.
consonants there.
Right.
Bazinga.
Right. And she's like, no, it's allow. And I'm like, oh. And she's like, maybe it's understandable that you feel every single one of these things. Maybe it's fine that you go ahead, allow yourself to feel this way, and then move past it. And that actually helped because I realized that most of my anxiety was coming from trying to not feel this way. Why do I feel this way? Yes, it was my resistance to the feeling that was creating the problem. And she's like, no, this is something that I think you just allow. Make sure you're doing everything that you need to do to be certain that everything's going to be fine. But you can feel this way right now.
Feel it, but don't live in it.
Right.
Exactly.
And they were all legitimate concerns she had. Should
Oh,
I
yeah.
stay down here? Should I move back where there's family? And I'm like, oh, I don't know that any of these, doesn't sound like any of them need to be changed. One of the other really cool successes that we had was also in a group setting where we had an individual that already has her PhD. And she was going back to school to get a master's.
Wow.
And she was concerned about how other people would perceive that at work,
I
at
was going to
family,
say, that's
that kind of stuff.
backwards.
Right, but she was going to she had
Or is it just different masters?
a different master's.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So we worked through, we steered through the situation, and it was just a few months later she completely redid her website and how she refers to herself now as a lifelong learner. So she was able to take that thing that she had anxiety about talking about and embrace it and make it part of her story. And it was just really cool to see that transition. And it wasn't until a few months later where it was like, okay, I think she's okay with it now. She steered it to the point that she's using it as part of her identity.
And on the opposite end of that, I think with the difficulties, it's hard to get people to want what they don't know that they need. And if it's not anything tangible, I can't give somebody a piece of paper that says, you're emotionally healthy now.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's your piece of paper. Like most people, just like Hank was saying, they know that if they work out, then they will lose weight. If they eat right, then they'll lose weight and they get the heart health. But most people don't want to take the time that it takes to become more emotionally well or more emotionally healthy. So just trying to convince people that this is something that will help you in the long run. It's a process and it takes a while and it's not a quick fix.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it will create more peace in other areas of your life, including those physical places as well.
I think it's also a generational thing too over the years in regards to men specifically. I mean, when I think back, right, so we had that whole World War II baby boomer generation, and they raised, they would have raised like my parents, and then our parents raised us, and it was always, all right, you're come on, son, shake it off. It's quit crying. There's no crying in baseball, okay? It was that thought process. It was just in the last, I don't know, 10 to 20 years, I'd say, where it's become okay in society to not be okay. And if he's tuning in, one of my neighbors was really interested in how this show was going to go because he's dealing with this right now. He's having all kinds of PTSD issues from accidents that he's had and stuff. And we have been culturally raised up, like I said, up until now to be tough, right? And men don't cry, all that stuff. And it's like, you got to break that thought process. And especially the same applies to, and I look at like moms in particular, because, they're supposed to be like this pristine, angelic example to their children. And it's like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. When Kate, God bless her, she's probably asleep right now because, again, we got home late and she had to work. She works at Acme, so she had to get up at like 5:30. But when the angelic time period for her is probably, I'd say, maybe 10 minutes at most during the course of a day, and then the other is like game management for the big bulk of it, and then the opposite of angel would be like exorcist with their head spinning around for another 10 minutes of the day, right? And moms experience that whole spectrum all the way through. But the one thing that's a consistent in the lives of most mothers is there's very rarely ever time for mom.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The whole me time, the whole mom time, the whole and for folks that don't have kids yet, the whole getting together with your girlfriends and just hanging out. Okay, so there's so much of these dynamics that you guys are like up against, right? And you have to break through the cycles of all of that baggage in those chains, I'd say. So if that makes sense, you want to talk about
It
that for a minute?
does, yeah. We actually have a program, another acronym. We call it Fuel Your Life, and it's find unique energy levels because it's different for every person. What fuels me, some people are fueled by being in large groups of people and doing things with a lot of people. Other people are fueled more by being quiet, right? So that's they're different things. Water is something that I have a spot by the river that I go that when I'm around water, it just fuels me very quickly. So we tell people, to find your unique energy level and pay attention to it. It's about paying attention to when you feel depleted, when you feel, and sometimes it's people, when we're around people deplete us or energize us. And it's knowing that and creating healthy boundaries around that as well.
Right. And I always think about, I completely lost my whole train of thought. What was it to say? Oh, we always talk about one thing that we're up against is we have people who, like, you go to like a seminar or you go to church and you leave and you're like, yes, I'm going to do this thing. I feel so good and I feel better. But you leave and you realize you really didn't get any instruction. Like, you got some really good, maybe a really good word if you went to church or some really good points. What I love about steer is that it's an actual process. I can walk away with my steer map and go, okay, let me write this out, figure out exactly what I'm dealing with, because if it were that easy, then I would have been doing it prior. I wouldn't be having the issues that I'm having. So there is a tangible way to work through it. And I think that that's what makes this so great, just being the how to what everyone else is telling us what to do. We're telling people how to do it.
And I think too often too, people can get in a place where they're like, they want a quick fix. Everybody wants the quick fix. Yes. They want it all right now. And I think people can start to get discouraged when they're feeling that high and their energy is high and all these things are going well and going right, and then they hit that moment of low and they're like, well, screw it, never mind.
Right.
And it's like, no, you have to, we're not going to be 100% happy all the time. We're not going to be in a great place 100% of the time. And it's knowing how to work through those things. And I'm finally coming to a place where I'm like, okay, these are the circumstances. What can I change about this? What can I change about this? The circumstances are XYZ. Well, if I want to get here, am I doing something in the current moment that's deterring me or preventing me from getting to where I want to be? What things can I control about the situation? What things can't I control? Because I am a worrier by nature, and I worry a lot about money and finances and all these things. And so you're never gonna have, like you said, you're never gonna have enough money. And money comes and goes, and of course you need to be wise with it. But at the same time, like, if all I do is sit there and worry about money, but I'm not doing anything to better that, then you're really not getting anywhere. Right. So I think people need to realize too that this is a journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Right.
And you have to be willing to put in the work if you want to see the results. So
that's the key.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, if you think, like, how are we doing in the Akron and Canton area with this whole process? Are we seeing people that are coming to the recognition? Like, are we seeing more people that are recognizing, okay, I don't like where I'm at in my life. I don't like some things that are going on. I have some things I need to work through, and I want to get that help. I want to get some education, some information, and I want to pursue this. Or are we having people who are still kind of just struggling and they're like going back and forth? They don't really know where to go. Or do we have some people that don't even recognize it and they're just wallowing in their situation?
I think there's a mixture of kind of all of them. I've been, as of late, getting a little bit more involved in like community organizations and things like that, to where most people know they know that something needs to be done, but they don't know what it is. So they're like, okay, I'm struggling in this area. What is it that I can do? What am I missing? I can't get a clue. So it's kind of leading them down the path so that they can kind of see that this is something that's really helpful. The funny thing is that usually when we tell people about steer, they go, "Oh, I know somebody that will help." And we're like,
Oh my goodness.
"Yeah, you." But it's really cool because when you do learn it and you're thinking differently, then you want to teach it to other people, and you kind of go, "Let me show you." So even if they feel like they're showing someone else how to do it, they're still embracing it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think it's kind of a mixture of everything, and people are really starting to come and go, what is it that I can do? I know that something is wrong, but I don't know what it is, and getting way more comfortable with saying that they don't know. So that's great.
That's awesome.
But I think it's about creating a safe space for some of that stuff too,
Absolutely.
because with these organizations that are having us come in, it's been nice to see how open people are, and how companies are embracing and understanding that like their employees' emotional health affects everything else because they bring things. They bring things into work, and so that's been really nice. But yeah, I think it's a mixture of people that recognize maybe something's wrong, but they don't know the steps to. And I do want to also say with therapy, we are, when we go through the certification program, the way we describe it is we're identifying potholes and we're steering around the pothole. A therapist will help you dig into the pothole and fix it. They're going to dig down in and okay, where did this go? So we make sure, and we actually have a therapist that we work very closely with to make sure that we're not crossing any lines, because this is not therapy. And every once in a while we will meet someone that will say, you made this is probably too much for us. You probably need to talk to a therapist about it. So we make sure to toe that line with respect to therapists.
Okay. Any closing thoughts you guys have?
Closing thoughts?
I think for me, just understanding that it's perfectly okay to not be okay. I think we're in a world to where everyone we have Facebook, we have Instagram, so we're comparing our lives to other people's highlight reels. So you're posting what's so great, like somebody's at dinner with their husband and they're like, "Hey, look at us," and then they get off and they're arguing. Like, we don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, but we're comparing our lives. And I think that that's creating a lot of issues for people. So just understanding that when you get in a room full of people who are struggling and having issues, you will see that this is something that's common, it's common ground, and we all have our own issues, and it's okay to say it. And the only way to accept the help is to let people know that you need the help.
Yeah, some vulnerability.
Yeah. And I would say just what I had said before is not to believe everything you think, and start to challenge those thoughts of, wow, I don't have, just because I'm thinking this doesn't make it true. And that's really the very beginning of finding that emotional health.
Okay. Well, once again, I'd like to thank you guys. It's been great. We love hearing your stories. We love, I love that you're doing this for our community, and I'm greedy like that. Akron. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And Canton.
Oh, yeah.
And Canton.
And Canton.
And Canton. They're always busting on me. Next week, we're going to be back. We wish you guys the best of luck. I forgot that. I actually wrote that to say.
Thank you.
Next week, we're going to be back at the cozy confines of Acme #1. Yay. And we're going to be sitting down and talking about what it's like to be a modern day travel agent in this day of technology. We have some
Perfect. I'm getting ready. I want to take vacation. So
we have some travel agents coming on the show next week. Because it used to be a big industry. I used to work at AAA back in the day, right? I used to do the triptychs, and I'm going to go get one and see if they still have them. I think they do. But it's obviously a whole new world now. You could plan your own trip in an hour with your phone in your hand. So, how do travel agents fit in? What do they do? How do they operate? What's that all about in today's day of technology? Okay. But until then, I don't know where I'm going, but there ain't no sense of being late. Ladies, please join me and say goodnight, Shirley.
Good night, Shirley.
Good night, Shirley.
This podcast is a copyright of Moon Garden Media Limited.
Oh, just a lot of peanut butter.